Ex-wife cheated and left me, but now she's begging to come back, and that's what broke her. Part 2. Quick reminder, this is part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, watch it first for full context. It's linked in the description. Now, let's dive back in. Update. A few weeks have passed since Michelle's email meltdown and the burner messages. I'd hoped the silence meant she was finally moving on. But with Michelle, quiet never meant peace, it meant build-up. It started with the kids. Out of nowhere, she asked for an extra weekend with them. Not because of a trip, not because of a scheduled conflict, she just said, they miss me. I didn't argue. I thought maybe it was genuine. Then I started getting texts from my son. Dad, did you really leave Mom with nothing? My daughter asked, are you keeping us from her? Michelle was poisoning the well. She was planting seeds. Whispering things I knew weren't true but would sound convincing enough if repeated often. She even tried to spin Ivy into the story, saying I'd abandoned the family for a younger woman. Ivy's only 4 years younger than Michelle. That's when I knew Michelle didn't just want control, she wanted the narrative. So I made a decision. I sat down with my kids. No lawyers, no theatrics. Just dinner at my place, a quiet night, and the truth. I told them about the divorce. I told them I hadn't started seeing Ivy until long after their mother left. I told them that love isn't a prize you win, it's something you earn by showing up every day. And I told them I would never speak badly about their mom even when I had every reason to. They listened. My son looked at me and said, Mom doesn't tell it like that. I know, I said. But you'll figure it out. You're smart. And when you're ready, ask the questions you're scared to ask. The next day, Ivy came by. I told her what happened. I expected her to feel overwhelmed, maybe even a little scared off. Instead, she nodded. Let her spin whatever story she needs to, she said. We know the truth. That's when it clicked for me. Michelle had always needed chaos to feel important. But Ivy? She brought calm. Clarity. Michelle would keep grasping for the version of me that crumbled under pressure. But that version of me is gone. After the conversation with my kids, things began to shift in subtle ways. They started asking more thoughtful questions, quiet ones that showed they were thinking for themselves. The lines Michelle had been feeding them? They weren't sticking like they used to. One evening, my daughter asked, Dad, why do you never say anything bad about Mom even when she says stuff about you? I paused. Because I want you to see things clearly without anyone pushing you. That's how trust works. She didn't say anything after that. But she hugged me tighter than usual when she left. I could feel the tension unraveling. Michelle's grip was weakening and she knew it. The next week, she sent a long email, one of those that tries to sound professional but drips with bitterness. She accused me of alienating the kids, of weaponizing silence, and of using Ivy as a PR stunt. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded the message to my lawyer and went on with my day. And then came the move I didn't expect. Michelle tried to introduce a clause into our custody agreement. Something vague and absurd about emotional sabotage and how the children shouldn't be exposed to inconsistent messaging. Her lawyer seemed embarrassed even bringing it up. My client believes, he said carefully, that your influence is causing emotional confusion. I just stared at him. My influence? I'm parenting. She's campaigning. It didn't go anywhere. The judge dismissed the motion outright. Michelle's frustration started showing in ways she couldn't control. She began missing pickups, showing up late for school events, making scenes at the kids' activities when Ivy was present even though Ivy always kept a respectful distance. It was like watching someone try to win a game no one else was playing. The real shift came from the kids. They stopped asking me to defend myself. They stopped parroting Michelle's talking points. They just started showing up, asking to spend more time at my place, sharing things they used to hold in. One night, my son said, "You're not loud, but you're solid." That's better. I didn't cry, but I felt something settle deep in my chest. Michelle wasn't losing a battle. She was watching a reality take shape that no longer revolved around her. It's strange how quickly things shift when you stop reacting. Michelle had built our marriage on tension, arguments, ultimatums, and games with no winners. But the moment I refused to play along anymore, everything she tried lost its power. 2 months after the failed custody stunt, I noticed something I hadn't felt in years: normalcy. Ivy and I were cooking dinner together when my daughter came in, kicked off her shoes, and flopped onto the couch like she belonged there. No hesitation. No awkwardness. Just comfort. I asked if she'd eaten. She said, "I'd rather eat here." It felt small, but it wasn't. Michelle, meanwhile, had gone from erratic emails to long social media rants. She didn't use names, but the implications were clear. She called out manipulators, gold diggers, and claimed her ex had turned her kids against her. I didn't engage. I didn't even read most of it. Friends sent screenshots, but I told them to stop. I was done letting her live rent-free in my head. One night, Ivy and I hosted a movie night for the kids. They invited friends over, popped popcorn, and sprawled across the living room in blankets and socks. I sat back and realized how full the house felt. Not loud, but warm. After everyone left, Ivy turned to me and said, "Do you realize what you've built?" I shook my head. "A life," she said. "One that doesn't orbit around your ex's drama. That's rare." She was right. For so long, my identity had been tied to surviving Michelle's storms. Yeah? I was steering my own ship. I heard from Michelle once more that month. A short, clipped email. "I miss what we had. Maybe we could talk." I didn't reply. Not out of cruelty, but because I knew what she missed wasn't me. It was the control, the reaction, the tether. That tether was gone. And in its place was something much stronger: peace. Update. Months passed, and not once did I second-guess walking away. Michelle faded into the background of my life, not because I tried to erase her, but because she no longer held the center. The silence didn't feel empty. It felt earned. The kids adjusted better than I ever expected. There were still rough patches, moments when emotions ran high or memories tugged a little too hard, but they were real with me in a way they never had been before. They asked questions. They formed their own opinions. And when they looked at me, I could tell they saw something new: consistency. One evening, while driving my son home from soccer, he said, "You're not mad all the time anymore. You used to be quiet, but not calm. Now you're calm." I didn't respond right away. That one sentence undid me more than any of Michelle's accusations ever could. Michelle, on the other hand, went radio silent. No emails. No calls. No rants online. At first, I waited for the next wave, because with her, there was always a next wave. But it never came. Not directly, at least. A mutual friend eventually told me she'd started dating someone new. Good for her, I thought, and I meant it. If she found someone else to mirror her drama, then maybe she'd finally let me go. Ivy and I didn't rush anything. We never needed to. What we had was built in the quiet, in the honest moments, in the space where neither of us had to pretend to be okay. We just were. One afternoon, the kids asked if they could help plan a surprise dinner for Ivy's birthday. They picked the cake, chose the music, and even helped decorate the backyard with string lights. That night, as we sat outside under the glow of soft lights and laughter, I looked around and saw something Michelle never understood. You can't force love. You can't demand loyalty. You can't weaponize pain into something sustainable. You can only build what's real. The final time Michelle came up was a month later. My daughter, now a little older, a little wiser, said, "Do you think Mom's happy now?" I thought about it. "I hope so," I said. "But whether she is or isn't, that's not mine to fix anymore." She nodded like she understood. And we left it at that. I think the story isn't about getting even, it's about getting clear. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't loud or messy, it's building a life where you don't even think about them anymore. He didn't need to fight. He just needed to stop answering. Have you ever had someone try to rewrite the story after they walked away from you? How did you handle it when they came back expecting you to stay stuck? Let's hear your experience in the comments. Hope you enjoyed this story as much as I do. Help this small channel grow by hitting that like button, subscribing, and sharing with your friends. Every bit of support means the world. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.